but welcome to this show.
Thank you.
Whenever I talk about you, whenever I think about you, um, I'm amazed by your journey of a young lady who left Botswana in her own steam without the power or the support of a government in terms of a scholarship. Somebody who, really has cut her path in life. And I really think for that reason, you are, for me, one of my most amazing role models. I don't imagine that when you first started on this journey, you said, "Oh, I'm going to be a role model." So, can you just share with us what made you leave Serowe for Gaborone? What made you leave Gaborone for the US?
So thank you. Wow, that's a tough question, and I'm humbled to hear you say this because you are my role model. Um, so I left Serowe Palape in 1999 after completing my what was then called O levels, and I hadn't done really well. So one of my aunts decided to help me come to Gaborone to repeat some of the subjects, improve, and then hopefully go through the path of the university. So when I completed supplementing those subjects, I did okay, but still not very well. So the opportunity came while I was in Gaborone for me to work at Wimpy. I was desperately looking for a job. And I was hired by this lady who looked at me and said, you are not going to stay here. I'm going to hire you because I can see that you are really passionate about looking for work, but I can tell you are going far. I begged her. I said, I need this job. Please give me the job. I promise you I won't go anywhere. Within a few months, Yarona FM opened and I auditioned and an opportunity came. I went to work at ERN FM, and thankfully Ratsebe, who was my manager, gladly released me. And she said to me, "You are not going to stay at ERN FM. You are meant for bigger stuff." And I didn't understand it then. So that was my journey from the north to Gaborone.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like I say, I've watched your life over many years, and I'm amazed at the community you always collect around you, and the passion for ethics, and honesty. Um, can you just share with us, how you even began to support your education path in the US? You left this country without a government scholarship. Um, Many of your age mates would have, really never got a chance or to do what you've done. So can you just, how did you make it, Thato?
Sure. So when I was at ERN FM, I had an opportunity to go to South Africa. It was I was interested in the entertainment education world. I wasn't trained to do any of that, but I guess the passion that I had for it, people could see it. I couldn't see it. So I met a couple in short, that eventually asked me if I was interested in accessing higher education in the US. So, mind you, I didn't know anything about the US. All I knew was New York from movies. So, in my mind, I was going to be in New York, big buildings. That's all I was excited about. So, I end up in the US, and pretty much I stayed with them, took care of their home, their dog. I dog sat, I babysat, I cleaned houses. I did whatever I could do to make money to support my education. They also helped a great deal. And then the families that I connected with, you see, I believe what's called divine connections. I do believe that people come into my life divinely. So those families also assisted me. They'll check in, do I have enough money for books for the semester? And then after a couple of years, I got scholarship to continue on to do my bachelor's and then my master's.
Hmm. One of the stories that you told me, and I laugh whenever I think about it, is how you had to learn to walk dogs. I mean, you come from Africa. Dogs can walk on their own here, and here you are. You go to the States, and you are asked, to walk a dog. Can you just, maybe share with us that very funny story?
Not only was I walking a dog, if it's appropriate to say in this show, I was picking poop after the dogs pooped because the dogs here are not allowed to just poop anywhere on the street, right? So it was the weirdest thing. I grew up between going to primary school and then when the school closed, I would go to Massimo, right? And we had dogs,
Mm-hmm.
but we never had to walk our dogs. We never had our dogs sleep in the house. It was the strangest thing ever. But because I had a goal in mind, walking a
Mm-hmm.
dog actually would pay me enough to
Mm-hmm.
to buy books. I didn't mind. It was fascinating. At first, it was strange, and then I actually started loving dogs. I don't think I'll have a dog in the house, but it eventually didn't feel more like a chore. It was something that I knew I had to do in order to get where I wanted to go.
Yeah. I mean, talking about that, one of the things also that fascinates me about your life is I remember when I attended one of your graduations. I can't remember whether it's the bachelor's or the master's. I think it was the master's.
Yes.
In the crowd, there were more people who had come to see Thato graduate, even though she had no blood relatives in the US. I thought that was, can you maybe share with us how is it that you were able to attract so much love and so much attention and so much support to your life? What would you share with young people, who hope to create that kind of path for themselves?
Right. You make life what you want it to be. You carve your your own path, and part of that is I believe that every place where I go, I have an assignment. I do community work. I love being around people. I love to help people. That's one of the gifts that I have. If there is a need and I'm available, I have the resources, not in terms of money, time. I step in because I believe that that's what builds humanity. We have to be there for each other. So I made incredible connections through babysitting, through cleaning people's homes, and then through being available and volunteering at organizations, volunteering where help was needed. So I sort of built my own family far away from my family in Botswana. And I can tell you that the many people that came to my graduation, it was such a pleasant surprise. And then the parties that followed, because as far as I was concerned, I was just a normal person who was available when they needed me or when I could help. So up to today, I am in touch with most of those families. So what I'll say to young people is that people don't come into your life by mistake. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
wise, and you don't allow people in your life just so you can take. It's a give and take thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when people are in your life, um, my journey, my educational journey, my life journey, I still bounce ideas back with you, right? When you have those people who deeply care, and people, I do believe that mean well for others. When you have those people in your lives, hang on to them, be respectful, be humble, because humility is what makes you who you are, and then things will happen. So those
Yep.
connections will always be meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the average tertiary school student here, and in fact, this particular radio station was set up by young, 7 young people who would be going to university very soon. Often think that education, when we are tertiary education, is a full-time job. But on the other hand, you were able to go to school and sometimes work 2 jobs. You know, um, what advice do you have for young people who think, oh, I'm in uni, I do nothing for 4 years, I do nothing but study? Do you think
Right.
that's
Actually, I was really blessed to go to a school that does a lot of a volunteer work, right? That fed into who I am in general. When I was in Botswana, I used to volunteer at SOS. I cannot remember what really sparked that, but I do remember I started my life in radio. So I used to listen to radio a lot. And then one day there was a broadcast on SOS, and that's how I got to learn about it. Hopped in a combi, I didn't know where I was going, ended up in Clokwing, asked for directions, showed up and said to this lady, her name is Mama Martha, and I said, I want to volunteer. What do you have for me? I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I did the same thing when I was here. I was a student. I worked 2 to 3 jobs at times, and I also volunteered because I think giving back, when you give your time back, you volunteer. Not only does it broaden your life view, it also gives you an opportunity to be of service to others, right? And I've volunteered. I've mentored young girls who were in that same situation. Oh, I can't do anything else. I just have to be a student. And I'll say, no, you can do more than this. You have to develop your other skills other than your brain. You have to develop your interaction skills with people. So, and then, just giving back, because we are giving so much. To whom that's given, more is required. And that's how I think life should be. We cannot be on our own. Listen, COVID taught us a lot.
Thank you very much and welcome to Things That Matter. We are talking to Thato Ratsebe, who's in Canada as we speak. It is very hot over there, and our conversation is around her journey. And we're just talking about her work with young people, young girls. And I'd like to share with us a bit more about the kind of work you do in that area.
Right. So I have an opportunity to work for this incredible organization that supports refugees and immigrants coming from all over the world resettle in the state of Vermont in the US. So a huge part of my job, I'm in the management area. However, I do believe in doing, right? So a huge part of my job involves supporting people as they transition and hopefully to eventually become stable in their new home, support their children succeed. So I get an opportunity to work with families, the entire family, parents and children. I've taken a great passion in supporting more especially young girls because, we come from different cultures. Some of the young ladies I work with, they come from cultures where at a certain age, they have to get married. So I've had conversations with parents where we talked about, the advantage of letting their young girls go to school, the impact that it can bring to the entire family eventually when they succeed and get better jobs and then have the ability to support them and can still be married. If I avoid to use the word choose to, because in some of those cultures, it's not a matter of choice. You are destined to be married when you're a certain age. So it's been a very fascinating journey and the one that actually satisfies me because I do believe in girls' education. I've worked internationally in East Africa and primarily worked with young women, young girls who wanted to pursue their education, supported those dreams and journeys. So that's how I have supported young girls. And I do a lot of mentorship, sometimes it means going in and babysitting so they can go to classes at night. When I leave my job, I go to their houses, I take over, they go to class, they come back, I come home to sleep. So
Really inspirational work. And you come from Southern Africa. Was it easy to be accepted in doing that kind of work with different cultures, African cultures from all over the world?
no. I think it's easier to relate to another African. And I thank God that I can easily connect with people. So that's not an issue. Uh, the biggest question I get, I was home in Botswana recently, I came back, and as soon as I came back, everybody was asking me, I was home for 2 months, like, did you find a husband? Did you get married? When are you going to have children? So now these are African mamas who come from a different region of the African continent who believe that at my age, I am very old. I should have 9 children by now. So so it's you know, the acceptance level is very interesting. If you understand the refugee life, people have to build trust with you before they can allow you to access their lives. And I'm grateful that I've been able to build that rapport with families, and that's how I'm able to really be of service to them. And I let them lead how I serve them. I don't go in and tell them what to do. I find out what is it that they need my support with, and that's how I support them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe you can share with the listening public what you studied at school. You know, because I really think that it ties in on who you are and what you're able to deliver today. And I think you were actually, when you were in charge of one of the residences. I mean, when you were at school as well. So this leading of young people, being a role model for young people, didn't just start after you stopped school and started working. Is that correct?
That is very correct. So I studied journalism and mass communication for my undergraduate degree, and then an opportunity came for me in order to study my master's. So what happened was, the school where I was at, you could get an opportunity to become what's called a resident director.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much means you take care of the student, and then that position pays for your master's degree, right? So I studied Master of Science in Administration and Management because that's what was available then. And I'm grateful that I took that path, because that's where I am today. Um, so my journey being a resident assistant and being a resident director really connected me with young people. I think gave me an opportunity to see the potential in every child. I believe that every child, we come from different circumstances, we have different experiences. You know, I tell people I didn't grow up with a lot. I used to wait for my older sister to grow her dresses until I became taller than her, so I didn't have to wait for her new dresses. But you know, our circumstances, where we come from, shouldn't really define who we are, because we all, as I said, believe that we all have assignments, we all have purpose. So once you figure out what that purpose is, and part of the assignment that we have is to figure it out, and then you actually live that purpose. And I believe mine is to serve others. Then you live a very fulfilling life. You know, I often feel like I'm not doing enough. I often feel like I need to do more. I need to find more young women that I can support and help them grow to be the best that they can be. Because I have been surrounded, I'm still surrounded with women from my family who are very strong, who have strong faith in God and in me, that I can do well. I'm surrounded by women in the community who see me. You know, it's funny, people here call me mama. They see me as that mother figure. So that's what really inspires me. So I think being of service to others is what drives me.
Mm-hmm. Maybe let me pick up on the your first degree. You talk about journalism, because I really think for the young people here at the school, especially the ones in the journalism club, for example, you know, we often tell them that a good journalist is a critical thinker. You know, is somebody who asks questions, one who also is open, is ethical. You know, would you say that we are correct in describing
Oh,
that? Yeah.
very much so. So I happen to have gone to one of the best journalism departments in the country, I believe. Um, One of the things that I didn't grow up with, that I'm grateful for, is the culture of reading. In my department, we had to read the New York Times, the Washington Post every day, like page to page. So I had to develop that culture of reading. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll say, in order to succeed at that, like you said, you have to be a critical thinker. The more you read, the more information you gather, the more curious you become. And that's what makes journalism interesting, because then you become an investigator. You want to know more. You are always curious to either, you know, investigate about things or just share knowledge. I believe that my journalism journey has put me in a place where I can gather knowledge and share knowledge with other people. So reading, and then really being curious and not being afraid of asking. You need to understand why things happen the way they do, and then integrate it to the profession, doing it to the best of your ability. And making sure that if information doesn't come from you directly, you cite it. One of the biggest lessons I learned as a journalism student, I was working on my final project actually, which was I thought I was coming back to Botswana and going to do all these great things. So I did a final project on African brain drain, that, the Western world is taking all these great brains, and here I am, right? So in that project, I forgot to cite one of the people I went to interview. I went to the UN, I went to the embassies to interview all these professionals from Africa to get their sense of what they think the continent can do to absorb us back once we're done with school. And I forgot to cite one of the sources. I went through the hoops to demonstrate that I just forgot. I nearly failed that final project. So you pay attention to every detail and then just have fun with it, because it's fun.
That's a great story, a great lesson. And I really hope that the young people in the studio right now listening attentively to that particular lesson, about journalism, about critical thinking, about reading. You can never read enough. I hope they listen to that. And all the students here today, I hope they're listening. All the students in the world, I hope they are listening. Let's talk about your challenges. What would you say were some of your challenges? And also, when you look back, what was a great success? So something you're really, really proud of, and why? Tough one.
That's a really tough one. My challenges. I think, life has my life has not always been a straight path, right? I've always had to work hard to get where I want to go. But I think the strength in that has been that opportunities have opened up whenever I was really desperate to get somewhere, to get my education, to get a job. Sometimes I look back and think about how lucky and blessed I've been. I finished school. I didn't take too long before I got a job, but that's also because I put myself out there and I was willing to learn as fast as I could whenever I got an opportunity to work. So some of the challenges I've had have been professionally related, having to learn within the job. I pretty much ascended into my management role by teaching myself a lot of things. That meant I had to spend some nights reading. When people went out to have fun, I had to be at home and build who I wanted to be as a professional woman. The successes, I don't know if I'm grateful that I attained my education. There are times that I feel like I can do more. So I often look for professional development paths, and I do a lot of professional development on the side. I'm currently looking into building a consultancy. So it's a challenge, but it's at the same time, I believe that it's a success, because now I have the ability to think that way. And I think one of the successes that I've had is just being in a different culture, a different country, where as a Black woman, I don't necessarily fit the profile that I'm in as a professional. But I've been able to do what I can do, obviously through the support of incredible people who just believe in me and have seen the potential in me.
That's great. I mean, I know that you're a very, very generous person, generous with your knowledge. And as before, you always said that you feel that you're sure about that. Everything you are doing and you're doing a lot. If you were to, say one advice or a word of advice, last word to young people, um, What would you say? Young people here in Africa, young people in Botswana, young people anywhere.
I'll say, don't ever give up.
Mm-hmm.
Find your passion, find your purpose, and work towards living in that purpose, because that's what's going to fulfill you. When opportunities are available, look for those opportunities. Don't let your past define your future, because if you do, then you may be stuck in that one place for a long time. Look at yourself in the mirror, call your name, and tell yourself. I'll tell you one of the crazy things I still do, more especially when I'm challenged, that Thato, you can do this. Just step back, breathe, and think about what are the steps that you're going to take to do it. So, young people everywhere, you have a potential. This is your opportunity. This world needs you. We need each other. We can't do it without each other's knowledge. Share your time, share your knowledge. I often get a little sad when I see young people say, I don't have a job. And I think part of it, more especially at home, we just haven't really cultivated this culture, this idea of volunteerism. I don't have a job, there's nothing that I can do, therefore I'm just staying at home. No, don't do that. Look for opportunities, talk to people, find out what people can help you with. And then when you get that opportunity, help others.
Okay.
So,
Look yourself in the mirror and say, I can do this,
yes.
and volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you can overemphasize that. So Tato, thank you very much, for coming onto this program. And where is Tato in 10 years' time? If you can see that far ahead, let us know so we can help you maybe turn on the light. Because one of the things, even before you answer, I want to say TDA is inviting you to come here for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, if the time allows, to come and share in person, some of these skills. Here at TDA, we encourage, our idea is that there has to be bridges to the outside. Teachers are great, but there are many teachers out there as well. So where's Tato in 10 years' time? Looking
What an
different.
honor, and I'll gladly accept that, because not will, only will it bring me home, it's also an opportunity to really invest back in the lives of young Botswana women and men. In the next 10 years, this is my ideal.
Okay.
I would love to have retired from my current job, but
Okay.
doing more things. So I have this, one of my dreams, and I think I've shared some with you. One of my dreams is to really build this platform where young people, not alone, by the way. I don't believe that success is something that you do alone. I think you find mind-like people to carry that journey with you, where we can help develop young people's mindset, help develop young people see their potential, support them on their journey, and make sure that they actually succeed. One of the things that I believe in, especially, is girls' education, right? So I dream of the ability to support as many girls as I can to access, more especially, higher education, and then help them understand the importance of investing back in their communities. So, in short, hopefully, I think I'll always be a global citizen. I'll live to some degree wherever God places me. And then in Botswana, I have a big heart for my country. And I do believe that someday I'll be of service to the country.
Well, thank you very much, Tato. I'm going to put it out there because I think I can safely put it out there that if I had the power, I would have recommended you. I would have appointed you. If I had the power, I would have appointed you an honorary consul. You know that, and there are few people like that for me in the world. Many, there's few Botswana out there who I feel have a right to hold a flag and say I am, a representative of my country, not because you've been so appointed, but because you live the values of a real representative of where you come from. So good luck with your dreams, and let's see you soon.
Thank you so much. Maybe just one last word. I think we can do that responsibility without an appointment, right? I think we can still represent our countries. We can represent we as long as we maintain our value systems. That's why it's easier for me to serve here, because that's how I was raised. I was raised with really good values. So as long as you keep those, you don't lose who you are. You remain true to who you are. You can still be of service to your country. You can still represent your country very well. So let's hold Botswana flag high and do the best that we can wherever we are.
Thank you very much. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, come to the end of Things That Matter. Ratsebe in Canada. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you for having me.